It's a war game, man.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that none of my competitors listen to my podcast because I'm about to share some inside business information that could be detrimental if my competitors found out. You want to start? I got some cool stuff to talk about.
Let's go. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
I really didn't do a lot of. I'm gonna be honest, dude. I did very little research until this morning.
Hey, that's fine. It's you're taking the energy of the moment and you're running. That's how I live my life.
The energy of the moment. There we go.
Well, here, like, dude, about me, like, I tend to, if I over prepare for something, and then I go to present for some reason, I start to overthink things. But if I prepare like in the moment, just start throwing shit together, dude, I have some of the best talks, best like, interviews, all of that stuff, because I don't know, it's coming from the heart. Like I feel passionate about it. It's coming off the dome, almost like when somebody's like freestyling, like, you think Eminem rehearsed all of his freestyles before he got up there, or was he just riffing?
I mean,
maybe a little bit of both.
Maybe a little bit of both, dude. I feel like this is a, what do you call it, a cop out for why you just don't prepare, which is okay.
Might be. I heard something. Alex Hormozy, he said that he rewrites his presentations day of.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's on your mind? What do you feel most compelled to talk about? Like, feel the energy of it and just roll with it. So that's one angle. I do like to have some high level preparation leading up to it, just so I kind of can get a basis for what I want to discuss. But then you just, start to really wrap your brain around it day of. So I actually do a lot of prep in the morning as well.
All right. Well, let me kick us off.
Let's go.
Today we're talking about marketing gimmicks.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of them, and they're all over the place. I want to hit you with the first one I was just looking at. Special editions or limited editions. Dude, tell me that this isn't some of the biggest bullshit of all time. All right, here's what we've got. Many companies, you'll have a product that will have a die-hard fan base. And then you'll have the fan base that they're interested, they'll buy it, but it's not their favorite thing in the world. You don't want to sell both of those groups the same thing, because one of them is going to be willing to spend way more money. So my example is, check this out. The 2023 Dodge Charger. I chose this because I know there's people out there that are just Charger fanatics. And they do have a small subset of people that are just diehards. And so they were selling the Dodge Charger, the normal edition. Actually, I don't even know what the MSRP was for it, but they were selling the base price and had all the normal stuff. And then here's what Dodge did. They came out and they said, but for those of you diehards, we've got something even better. We've got the special edition Mopar is what they called it. I might be saying that wrong. And it's got matte paint. It's got a different grille, different rims, different little things that go on the tire pressure sensor things. It's got a spoiler, and it's got a limited edition badge.
Ooh, gotta
have a badge, dude. And so when I read this, they said paint, grill, rims, badge. They've got to buy all of these materials anyway, whether they use this rim or that rim. So all of that to me is kind of the same. The only thing they really added was a spoiler, like a little tiny thing. And for that special edition, they're able to sell it for $4,000 more. Let's say the car is $40,000. They're able to get $10,000 by adding probably a $50, $100, $200 spoiler to it, because there's the diehards. And now that I think of it, every company sells the limited edition, the special edition, and limited is fun because not only is it different and special, they're only going to make so many of them.
Yeah.
You know why they only make so many?
Because that's all.
It's because less people are going to buy them. Yeah, you can't sell that many. Not everybody wants the limited edition Star Wars set. The normal one will do just fine.
Right. Diehards are going to go for that.
Diehards, dude. it's a great way to just suck a little bit more money out of the same product.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you know what's funny? You know those Dodge Chargers? When I
Mm-hmm.
was in the military, we call them like it's like the E4 special. Like
Mm,
usually early enlisted guys, the first opportunity they go to buy a vehicle, because a lot of people are right out of high school. They
yeah.
finally got a paycheck coming in, and they, dude, without a doubt, you'll go into a barracks parking lot and you'll see like 9 Dodge Chargers.
Jesus.
Like everybody gets a Dodge Charger. It's so
The
funny.
E4 special, dude.
I didn't go that route. But it was always hilarious. You could always tell a new enlisted guy, dude, he's itching to go to that used car lot, pick up a Dodge Charger, man. If he can get a new one, if he has decent credit and hasn't jacked it up by then,
Yeah.
you best believe he's going to get that limited edition, and he's going to try to do some burnouts in the parking lot.
Dude, it's hilarious. And I just looked it up. So MSRP, $33,000 for the 2023. If you want the V8 version, it's $43,000. And if you want the Hellcat version, it's up to $85,000. And so, dude, they know, like, a little different here and there. They add that little, they throw in a different engine. I'm sure that engine costs, 5% more, but they're charging double.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, dude, when I bought my Tesla, I bought the Model Y. And when I'm going through there, dude, they have all the customization options and whatnot. And you immediately want to max it out. You're like, let me get the
100%.
special edition paint. Let me get that spoiler. Let me get the, the dual motor, all of that.
Yeah.
And
Long range, full self-driving, whole thing.
All of that. And so I clicked all the options. Well, one of the first issues I had with my car is that carbon fiber spoiler they put on the back. I thought it was like affixed like permanently to the back of the car. Dude, it's just some silicone paint or silicone glue they put on there, and like you can replace it pretty easily. And I'm like, this cheap thing is what I spent so much more money on just to have that, so that when I'm driving down the road, people know.
Know.
Yeah. I got the fast Tesla.
Yeah. In reality, nobody
Yeah.
knows. Nobody cares.
Knows. Yeah, they don't care. No, but those diehards do. Yeah,
dude,
that's
amazing,
funny.
right? I bet you. How much money? So how much did that spoiler cost?
Dude, it's probably $200, but that's from the manufacturer. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when they come out there and swap it out. But I guarantee it costs them like $5.
Right. Well, they've sold 2,160,000 Model Ys. Let's say 10% of those people are schmucks and got the spoiler.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So that's 216,000 spoilers sold times 200. So what's that? Basically, they're making $40 million of income on a $5 spoiler.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
at that scale.
At scale, like small numbers make a big difference. Yeah. You think about that, the piece of that. I was looking up. I always, whenever we talk about like a certain subject or whatever, I always like to try to figure out what's the definition, or like what is a gimmick. And it's like unique or quirky feature, strategy, or piece of marketing designed to attract attention or encourage customers' engagement, often adding significant value to a product or a service itself. And so it's like, how do you stand out from the crowd? How do you create a buzz? And then there's like usually a short term like interest or sale that you're trying to push out. So it's the limited edition of that. Like when you look at like sports or anything where you have like a diehard fan base, man, if you just put out something a little unique, I mean, they'll eat that up, and it's important to them, So it's
dude.
It's
do
always,
you know about? Did I ever tell you about the Sports Illustrated gimmick, the best gimmick of all time?
I've heard about this before, yeah, but explain it. I haven't heard it in a while.
This is the best gimmick I've ever heard about. I forgot about this until just now, until you said sports. 1980s or 90s, Sports Illustrated was not the booming magazine it was a decade ago. It was suffering. It was struggling. It wasn't making any money. And so they all got around and they said, okay, how do we get more people to sign up for Sports Illustrated? And they tested advertising, all the normal things, and it just wasn't hitting the way they wanted. And so one Christmas, I think in the 80s, they came out with the Sports Illustrated infomercial. And on this infomercial is a 60, 90-second ad where they talk about their limited edition football phone. So this is a landline. So today, David, if you call this number, we are going to send you a real landline phone that is shaped and looks like a football. And dude, it blew up. And all the commercials were like, this was the best present I've ever gotten from my wife. I love my wife more now. Or my boyfriend is so excited that he finally got the football phone. He wants to call me. Just gorgeous, beautiful copywriting. But here's the thing. If you signed up, I believe if you purchase the phone, you can buy it for, let's just say $80. I'll have to look this up. Or you sign up for a year subscription of Sports Illustrated, and the football phone is free.
What a deal,
dude! And it's the best deal of all time. So not only do you get the phone, and now every month you're expecting the Sports Illustrated, and then it took a little while, but once you have 100,000 people signed up on a subscription, now other people see the subscription, and it becomes even more popular. And that is what saved them from going under.
Yeah, that dude, you saying that, I remember it exactly when I heard that. And it just kind of like, it just reminds you of those like infomercials.
Yeah.
When I think of like the Sham Wow or like Flex Seal or something, and they're always like, buy today. You will not only receive a free extra bottle of this, but you'll get 7 bottles if you buy them today. Like they always like up it up to something ridiculous. But dude, I think because they're trying to push that reoccurring monthly revenue. They're like, screw the one-off phone. We'll give that to them for free. How do we just like engage our customers so that they can get on that subscription?
Stay on. Yeah. I mean, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. I remember that back in the day.
Do you?
Yeah, I wanted that football phone. Like I wanted it. And my best friend at the time across the street from me, he had it. And so, well, what we would do back then is what any kids would do is we figured out star 67. And we would just prank call anybody and everybody we could find. We would look up people in the I don't know if you remember like the phone books they had, where you could look up everybody's names and phone numbers in your neighborhood, and we'd make prank phone calls from there.
Dude, it was the way, man. It was the way. And when when one person in your neighborhood gets that thing, you have to have it.
Yeah. It was cool. You know, it was like, oh, I got a phone in my room. He had it in his bedroom, and that was so crazy.
Son of a gun, dude.
Yeah. No, that's fun, man. And I was looking up, what were some of the first, like, who were the pioneers of the gimmick of like a gimmick? And Sports Illustrated, they ran with a promotional sale with the football phone. But man, everything that I found, it all leads back to this, this guy P.T. Barnum.
P.T. Barnum, dude. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, like the stunts and gimmicks he would do to attract people to his museums or a circus, and other things. And so he was one of the pioneers of that. And so, you think about like, how do you sell something? How do you get hype around something when they're like the marketing channels are so limited, And so you bring the freaking circus into town, and then what do you have? Like, you got to like have, different types of attractions and other things going on. And so you just take that at like a very like vague, vague example of how do you draw attention to something, and then distill that down to how could you deploy some aspects of that into business. And I was thinking about, when is it important to have gimmicks as an early business? And how long do you sustain gimmicks for until you realize like you have your base business model? Because you can't just constantly have gimmicks, because I feel like if you're always trying to be the flashiest and give all these sales out or just drive your business through gimmicks, your competition could just duplicate and come up with a better gimmick, So I feel like I feel like when you're early on and starting a business like Sports Illustrated, trying to get off the ground, like gimmicks could save your company altogether.
Yeah,
they really could.
It can.
And so it's just fun to think about all the different ways you could do it. Coca-Cola, they would always do that where you would, have like different coupons for a free Coke. What was one?
Oh, the bottle caps underneath.
Bottle caps, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Sprite
big
would
one.
have those.
Yeah, win a free
What
Sprite.
the suckers you would get at the gas station. You seen those suckers where if you unwrap them and you see an Indian with a bow and arrow with a star on it?
Yeah,
you
haven't
could
seen that
trade
one.
that wrapper in. No, you could trade that wrapper in for a free sucker.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was true or not, but it always worked for me when I went to my local gas station.
Maybe that's something that they were running, dude. They're like, this kid keeps buying candy from us.
yeah, I come in for a 5-cent sucker, and I buy like $20 worth of like
right.
pizza,
They're like
slushies and whatever else.
They're behind the counter and they're like, "Is this real?" And they're like, "Nah, but he thinks it is. Let him keep coming."
That's right. That's probably exactly what it was. That's funny.
Well, I mean, talking about the idea of to gimmick or not to gimmick in a business, I think the answer is if you can create something that people don't think is a gimmick, but it really is, that's where the magic happens. And let me hit you with one. Okay. Have you ever heard of the term Retina display?
Yes.
Yes. When I say Retina display, what do you think about? What do you hear?
You know,
what do you think? Like, I know what it is now. I didn't until an hour ago. What do you think a Retina display is?
I just think it's a super high quality display, like a Retina TV. Or am I close? Is it?
Yeah,
like
you're on target.
Like the LCD, QLD, like all these different types of acronyms describing like how clear the picture is. Is that kind of what it is? It's like a flowing display where you don't see the pixels. Is that basically it?
Dude, it's exactly it. So here's what it is. It's an OLED display, which those are everywhere in the world. Some are good, some are bad, but they're everywhere. So organic light emitting diode, basically an LED, a fancy LED screen. Flat screen TV.
Yeah.
But Apple, they can't just call their display an OLED because that's what everybody else does.
Right.
So what does Apple do? They say, well, what kind of displays do we create? And they say, well, we create something that it's captivating, it's sharp, it has everything you need, and it impacts the eye, the retina. It's a display for your retina. It's a display for your eye. And so they coined and trademarked the term retina display. And to be fair, they do have ultra high-end displays compared to many other manufacturers. However, there are many manufacturers that have similar displays and phone screens that aren't any worse or better than Apple's. It's pretty much on par. But the thing that Apple did was they said, well, no. Ours is very different and better. And I think where gimmicks in marketing come into play is it needs to sound different than everything else out there. Even if it's exactly the same, Apple still makes it sound like it's far better than everything else. And that's what I think a good gimmick is you don't even know it's a gimmick. You just think it's a better product.
Yeah. What I'm thinking about when you're saying this is like you have like two types of people. You have the uneducated consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Look at the balloons. You got the uneducated consumer, and you have the person who's like very techie and into that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm going into a store and I'm looking to make my first big purchase of a TV or something like that, I might get talked into that Retina display, and I'm gonna be like, wow, like, yeah, I need that, like the curved TV, those kind of things.
Oh, right.
Where you feel like you're at the IMAX.
Yeah.
And so like the guy coming in, making his first bit, got a big check. He wants to, take care of his family. We're gonna have movie night at the house. I got that Retina display, and they'll make that purchase. And then you got the guy that like knows this stuff inside and out, can tell you exactly how they developed it, why they have it, why it's important, how it, interacts with your eyes. And then they'll probably make that purchase, right?
Because they're the diehards.
They're the diehards. Like they're all about it. And so then there's like the third, where it's kind of like someone like myself, where like in all reality, I don't really care about all that stuff. And, I may not go purchase that because I know it's going to add an extra $1,000 to the price tag. you know?
Yeah.
And so, but Apple knows.
Dude,
Apple knows that like the way that they can market that thing out, that they're going to capture a lot of those first buyers, you know, those first, you know, end consumers, and then the people that are, you know, diehards about the tech and want to have the best of the best when you come over to their house to watch TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta appeal to both, I feel like.
Dude, and what's interesting about that is this is what always gets me to purchase something. Is I think to myself, be like, man, well, this monitor's, let's just say it's $2,000. That's a crazy amount for a monitor, but it's true on Apple. Whereas the other monitors that I was looking at, or TV, who knows, maybe it's $800. Well, I think to myself, I don't want to have to buy this thing twice. And so this is, if this monitor lasts 2 or 3 times longer because it'll be less antiquated, then you know what? Maybe it's worth spending the money. Maybe it's like Red Wing boots, where these things will last me a lifetime. I say, okay, well, I'd rather pay a little bit more up front so I have it forever rather than have to replace this thing. And that is the bias that always gets me to spend more money. And I'm a sucker for it, dude.
Yeah. You see it as more of an investment.
Right. Which a computer is obviously not, but they make it sound like it is.
Yeah. Man, have you ever, like, I've actually bought one of those real high-end TVs, you know, moved to my first apartment with my girlfriend. You know, we're at the store, and I'm just like, I'm trying to flex a little bit.
Oh,
so I'm like,
here we go. Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, give me that one. Give me the $2,500, you know, 70-inch TV.
Yeah.
Instead of the $900, you know, Samsung I could get right next to
it.
And I go get it, and I realize I don't have the correct display ports for it or whatever. And I'm, you know, the information I'm feeding into it isn't as high quality, so I still, like, I don't get the clearest picture. And so, you know, it's like you got to get the add-ons then to go with it. And you know, so it's like now I got to go drop an extra $1,000, you know, just to get the picture how I want it. And then you realize, like, what was it? Whenever they're putting out like Blu-ray or, you know, those types of movies and whatnot, it had to have that, like the
you need the player,
show or production had to be in that quality, like HD or high def, for it to even show up the way you want it to. And so, yeah, like you end up kind of being like, damn it, I could have just saved $1,000, got something else. But I still have it, so I'm gonna brag about it, you know?
Yeah. Bro, it's a cycle, dude. It's a cycle, man. It's that example is the guacamole of burritos. Like they charge you your burrito's $8 and they charge you $2 for a tablespoon of guacamole.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's like
biggest scam.
Bro, it's I get the upcharge. I get it. Guacamole's not cheap. But you can't tell me that my burrito deserves to be 25-30% more because of guacamole? Like, think about that, dude. You have an entire farm with cows for beef, and you have hundreds of thousands of acres dedicated to this thing and livestock and feed. And you're telling me that what's going to actually increase the price of my burrito by 30% is a tablespoon of an avocado with some salt and cilantro? The add-ons, dude, the gimmicks, man. And what I love is every restaurant in the world has bought into the idea that, whoa. They have all universally agreed. There's an unspoken rule among the restaurant industry. Guacamole is extra. Unspoken.
Dude, okay. Why are certain condiments free and others they want to charge you like 25, 50 cents, $2 for?
Yeah. I
got a side of sour cream
I get a little bit. I get like, okay, throw in a quarter. Sure.
Yeah. I got a dollop of Daisy, a freaking like a little 2-ounce cup of sour cream.
You got a what?
That was $2. A dollop of Daisy. That's
dude. Is that a thing? Did you just come up with that?
Nah, it's on their commercials.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it sounded nice.
They really push sour cream hard in the Midwest. Like we're big, you know. We're big in the sour cream game over here. And so, but like ketchup, dude. like ketchup, they just give that shit out for free. What's the diff? Like you go buy a tub of sour cream and a thing of ketchup, and they're the same price at the store.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
ketchup's
actually,
free.
you want to get me started on condiments? Have you seen my Sriracha video that I just posted?
Yeah, I did actually. Yes.
Did you? Can I share that?
That's a crazy story. Yes.
Dude, check
so
this out.
wild.
Bro,
Some beef
fucking
going on.
Sriracha, dude. This is a story of don't bite the hand that feeds you. No, this is a story of sometimes the hand that feeds you isn't feeding you that well. Hoi Fong Sriracha, the big name of Sriracha, right? They've been around since I think 70s or 80s. These guys, I don't know what the percentage is, but half of the Sriracha in the world, it was coming from them. They're the players.
Wow.
And because of this, they needed to purchase 90 billion chili peppers per year. Now we're talking 14 Dallas stadiums filled to the brim of chili peppers. Massive amounts.
Oh my God.
Like that's unfathomable amount of chili peppers. And there's not many places in the world that chili peppers grow well. You need this dry, arid, humid climate. Chilies grow in deserts oftentimes. And there was this ranch, Underwood Ranches. It's a farm initially out of California that was selling, and they had been farming chili peppers since 1864. We're talking a century and a half. These guys have been perfecting the chili growing operation. These guys were legit. Underwood Ranches had an exclusive contract with Hoi Fong. And it wasn't exclusive in the sense that they weren't allowed to sell to anybody else. It was that Hoi Fong was such a massive purchaser of Underwood Ranch's chilies that there was this agreement that they wouldn't sell to anyone else. They didn't want to undercut Hoi Fong, and Hoi Fong wanted to be able to only secure these chili peppers, and they didn't want anybody else to have access. So it wasn't mutually agreed upon. It was a good relationship. Hoi Fong had been purchasing these chilies probably from them for 40 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. In 2016, Hoi Fong, one of the owners or the higher levels, went to Underwood Ranches and said, hey, we need to grow way, way more chilies. Like our Sriracha, dude. Sriracha, by the way, since 2000s, on the uptick. This is what we call a trending sauce in the sauce community.
Oh, nice.
So Hoi Fong needed more chilies. Underwood Ranch was like, all right, I've been giving you 80 billion. I'll give you 90 billion chilies a year. So Underwood Ranch goes to purchase, I don't even know the number, but lots and lots of extra farmland. You need a lot of land to grow 90 billion chilies.
I'd say
so. So Hoi Fong purchases all kinds of farmland, and I believe it's all in California, which is not cheap. Dude, check this out. Sorry, Underwood Ranches buys all this extra land so they can sell more chilies to Hoi Fong that said they need it. They start cultivating the land. They start getting it ready to grow. And then Hoi Fong comes to Underwood Ranch and asks one of the CEOs of Underwood and says, hey, we want you to come work for us. And so they kind of try and buy them out or buy out the employees. And Underwood Ranch is like, no, dude, I've got a team. I've got a family here. We've been doing this thing for 150 years. I'm like, money can't buy me. I care more about community. And Hoi Fong, dude, they get pissed. They say, well, fine, if you're not going to come work for us, we're not going to use your chili peppers anymore. Oh, wow. On a single day notice. And so Underwood Ranch had an agreement to sell 90 billion chili peppers. They had just purchased all of this extra land to sell even more. And then Hoi Fong drops them. Not even like a season ahead of time to prepare. Drops their ass. Crazy. That's and so, crazy. Dude, check this out. Hoi Fong now. There's not many places you can buy 90 fucking billion, I shouldn't say F word, billion chili peppers from. So dude, there's a shortage of this Sriracha. And they're buying it from Spain, from Mexico, from China, anywhere they can get their hands on, dude. They're just asking for handouts of chili peppers, and they can't grow them fast enough. The prices of Hoi Fong Sriracha bottles I think this was 2016, 2017, start to skyrocket. You couldn't buy this stuff. You had to go on eBay, $200 a bottle.
Whoa.
For a bottle of 16-ounce Sriracha. $200. It's normally 10 to 12. Meanwhile, so Hoi Fong is in a tough spot. They can't they can't get enough chili peppers. They have to change their recipe. And their prices of their bottles, they just can't keep up with supply because Sriracha's taken off. Underwood Ranches, they're in a tough spot. What do? They roll out their own line of Sriracha. Underwood Ranches Dragon Sriracha.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently, they seem to be doing well. I taste tested both Srirachas. Underwood Ranches isn't... Nah. The Hoi Fong is still way better.
Really?
It is. Underwood Ranches is really spicy. It's like, it's hot, dude. It's a hot sauce for sure.
Too much to handle?
It's just, when I'm trying to eat some good pho or some chicken or something, I want to taste the meat or the soup and not just Sriracha. So it's a little bit too much from my mouth. Yeah. But either way, it kind of just, it goes to show, and I think about this a lot, how doing good business in the long run will always have better impacts than fast and short business, even if you make a quick buck.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's such a wild scenario to get thrown into.
Ride,
like getting dropped with 1 day notice when you have all this inventory and you just made all these investments.
Dude,
there had to have been some type of lawsuit filed against
them. There was. Yeah, Hoi Fong lost. Yeah, I read through the transcripts. I think they sued him for, I'll tell you in a moment, but fat stacks.
Yeah. I'd imagine. Boy,
yeah.
I didn't know this.
They lost a $23 million. They had to pay $23 million to Underwood Ranch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for them. Man.
Seriously. I wish their sauce was better because I would support them.
Well, that gets me thinking. It's like, how could like a brand like Red Bull, they can spend so much money on, all these crazy events, race cars, sending people to space, skydiving teams, like all this stuff, like air shows. And all they sell is a product at like $3 a can.
It's nuts.
Like moving product at scale, like they have so much more money in there. Their margins are probably ridiculous. And so like you think about, in business, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs and we want to sit there and try to get as much as we can out of each unit sold. So I may try to sell a product at a few $100, a few $1,000, tens of thousands of dollars. But, how many people do you have lining up to purchase that from you? And so, getting into the like energy drink game, like Red Bull, like it just makes me think about how important marketing and gimmicks are to really separate yourself from that. But like
because you're right, really it's the same. It's the same as a Monster. I mean, essentially different flavors, but it's the same thing.
I mean, I named my cat after Monster energy drink. When I was in high school, I had a cat I named Monster. Yeah. And I had a big banner in my house too. Big Monster fan.
Yeah. Very Midwest as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They penetrated that market.
They did. I was a Monster boy myself. The Monster Girls. Everybody gets it. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but to be able to just push out and have these gimmicks, I think Red Bull is the true pioneer of that in like modern day. For at least like maintaining it for such a long time. Like they've been on the throne for so long. And it's not like their sports team and their race, like all their events and things, it's not like they're mediocre. They always tend to have the best of the best talent.
Bro, we talking about Max Verstappen right now? Is that what we're about to talk about?
Max Verstappen? I mean,
you can
talk about him. You could talk about Felix as well,
Dude, these are my topics.
Yeah.
Okay,
bro,
so
fill us in.
I love racing. Dude, yes. Check this out. I want to tell you about a legend, a living legend. There's a Red Bull driver named Max Verstappen. He drives Formula One race cars. And dude, I don't have any other words to say, but when he's on the track, he wins. He is a winner, and he is just the best of the best. For instance, I need to pull some real numbers on this next time. But in F1 racing, the difference between a winning car and a losing car is half of a second.
Yeah.
The way that these guys move around this course, they think in tenths of seconds. If you're a half a second slower than somebody else, dude, you're a whole lane. You're 2 blocks behind somebody. It's insane how fast these guys go. But in the F1 racing world right now, Max Verstappen has been taking over because he does not lose. And even his teammates can't even touch him. And an example that somebody said when they design his car for him is that Max's car is like playing a video game with your mouse cursor on 100% sensitivity. They talk about how the smallest tweak to his car will send the whole thing off. And he's the only person in the world that can drive this. And I believe it was last year, Formula One, they were trying to make the I believe, a little bit more of an even playing field among the Formula racing cars. So what they'll do every year is they'll change the rules, and that forces the drivers and the mechanics that build these cars to adjust. And so they changed the rules pretty dramatically over the last couple of years to try and get Red Bull to stop. I don't know if this is really to try and get Red Bull to stop winning, but it's supposed to have that effect where Red Bull, it evens the playing field. Dude, every year, Max just crushes them in a landslide. There's just one guy in the racing industry that nobody can even get close to. And it is just, and guess who owns the team?
Red Bull.
Red Bull, dude. They're just the best. They're the best. You can't mess with them.
No, you can't. And like, what is it? It's Red Bull and Oracle, right?
I think that's their sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. I mean, those are some massive brands. I believe it's the same Oracle. My buddy worked for this company called Cerner. They do medical health records, and they basically just like a warehouse for those. But they got massive buildings in Kansas City. It's like, I think it's like their headquarters. But Oracle just bought them out for like billions. And they had like a 13,000 person workforce, or it might have been 30,000 person workforce at Cerner. And Oracle had like somewhere around the, like, you know, hundreds of thousands of workers.
Wow.
So they just like consumed them.
Wow.
He's probably one of the richest guys in the world. The guy that owns Oracle. I think that's such a cool name of a business.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
It reminds me of Halo, my early Halo days, like the Oracle. But yeah, dude, Red Bull just has a grip on that stuff, and they stay so freaking relevant. And you know, you can notice other brands trying to jockey for position and trying to be number one. But like I said, dude, year over year over year, Red Bull's just had that number one spot in a lot of these different types of industries, and whether it's sports or it's, you know, action sports, skydiving. You know, you got Felix Baumgartner that jumped out of a freaking balloon in the stratosphere or whatever part of the atmosphere he was in. You know, like that was insane. I remember watching that for the first, you know, like everybody stopped what they were doing to tune into that. And this dude is just blacked out, free falling, like at ridiculous speeds. I think he did black out at one point. And, like in midst of the free fall. And Red Bull is all over that. It's awesome.
It's insane. Can I hit you with a fact about Max Verstappen in the 2023 season? So F1 racing, I need to tell you first how many F1 drivers there are, because that'll put it in perspective. So there's 20 F1 drivers, which means on average, technically everybody has a 5% chance of winning. In the 2023 season, there were 22 races. Guess how many races Max won?
15.
19. 86. Almost 90% of the races. So he won all but 3. So there's 20 people. He was in first place 19 times.
Whoa. Domination, dude.
It's like, it's literally 3 times. Maybe he didn't get a great position, maybe car, who knows what. It's dominating. And Red Bull does that. They just dominate.
Dude, Max, I got to get into Formula Racing. I turned it on today. I guess there might be a race going on today. I turned it on for a little bit. But I don't think it's something you can just passively watch. I feel like you got to like sit down and like really like be in it.
Yeah. What hooked me was I love engineering, and there is a big component of that to understanding the mechanics of the car. And that's what initially got me in. And then the competition is what kept me.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Okay, getting kind of back to like, these gimmicks and like the thing I love about gimmicks is the ability to separate yourself from the pack quickly whenever you're starting up something new. Whether that's a new company, a new business idea, tech idea, app, or whatever it is. And, like when launching my real estate brokerage, I had to come up with some of those because I entered into a market that was very saturated. Like there was no shortage of real estate agents or real estate brokerages, you know, in my small community of Kansas City, we got about 800 brokerages. And I would say probably about 25% of them are franchised. So they're like big, well-known names. And so how would I, individual agent drop into a market and start a campaign in order to really just widen the gap between who I am, what I offer versus like going somewhere else. And so gimmicks were a big part of how we even started introducing ourselves from a standpoint to like to separate ourselves. And so, I mean, gimmicks can go in the form of like, hey, bring somebody on, come to the office, bring somebody on, and we'll waive your fees for life.
Oh, like, that's cool.
Be here, no fees, little things like that, just to incentivize other people to help us grow this thing. And, like things like that. Also, one of the first things we did is we hosted a massive real estate seminar in town. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been one done like this ever in Kansas City, and there hasn't been one like it since then. We ended up spending, like, we were just so aggressive. We're like, we don't care what the cost is. We're just doing it. So we committed to this venue space. We started pre-marketing it before we even locked down any numbers, which probably we should have done a little bit of math leading into it. But we ended up spending somewhere around like $25,000, $30,000 on this event. We flew in like 5 speakers, covered their costs, marketed the heck out of it. And one thing we did is that we tried to create this sense of anybody's welcome. Like just because I own a brokerage or whatever, but we want to disseminate information to the masses and really help educate people. So like what we did was we hit up big teams in town and we asked them if they'd like us to reserve them a table for their team. And that's so cool. So like that was one thing. And we got like their like name placards and we really promoted them. And even if they were with a different company, we put that on there too. Like, hey, this table is reserved for Remax, this team, or whatever.
That's nice. That's really nice.
And so, dude, I really think that helped us gain a name for ourselves and really push out like, wow, these guys are doing things different around here. And it was great. It was like a full 8-hour day. We brought in lunch, and it's funny because we knew that people would like if we didn't provide lunch in house that day. I had a feeling that people would leave and then maybe choose to not come back, right? So we catered in food, and during the lunch break, we brought in a magician to do a like.
I love it. I love a gimmick, dude. Let's go. Tell me about that. How did that work out?
Dude, it was so much fun. Yeah, for an hour straight, this guy is like making crazy balloon animals. He throws them into a paper bag. He crushes the bag, tears it open, balloon animal's gone. Yeah. Reaches behind your ear, freaking balloon animal shows up. Oh, like doing stuff like that, working the crowd. Like, man, we had so many positive reviews from this whenever we were done. Like people were like, that was the coolest thing I ever been to. And not only were we trying to over deliver for the real estate agents that were showing up, we decided to bring in sponsors because we wanted to try to offset some of the costs of this event. Because when we realized, we're like, damn, we're getting in a little over our heads for this. And so we brought in a bunch of sponsors. So we ended up getting about 15 different sponsors there. We gave them all booths. We got them exclusive badges. Like when you're a sponsor, like you get this big badge, real pretty with your name on it, the business and all that stuff. And so when you walked into this event center, it felt like you're at a convention. And I was kind of blown away by it too, how it all came together. And I'm like, damn, we really put this together like this quickly. But the thing about doing gimmicks early on is like you're taking a risk. And so our risk was not only $25,000, but we spent a lot of our time really trying to build this thing out. And it was kind of scary at first because for some reason we didn't get a lot of ticket purchases until the week of. And so, dude, like everything was locked in like 4 months in advance. And literally for 3.5 months, we got very little like attention and people signing up for it. So we were like in full blown panic mode, wondering if this would come together. And, we had a capacity to see, I think 150 people, and we got like 130 in. And so, but it all came at the very end. So like when you're running a gimmick or display, it's like, if it's going to take a lot of your time, it's important to factor that stuff into there. And, I wish I would have outsourced more of it to a little more help so that I could, not pause my business completely just to run this play. Yeah. And, but it was cool though, man. It's kind of fun to put something together like that, and have like a magician come in and then, do like custom booths for, certain people and, kind of like a little VIP thing and whatnot. So, it was fun. And, what I realized too is that, a lot of people, we had to bring them in at the perception of a deal, a discount. And so, when you think about a gimmick, it's like, you got to build your margins in to the discount. And I was looking at this too, when I was looking up gimmicks and whatnot, like Macy's is huge with gimmicks. Sears was huge with gimmicks. Everything was like, was this, now it's that, like price wise. It was $2,000. Now it's, $570 instead of $2,000. And so we had to get the prices to a point knowing we were going to discount them. It's like, okay, what do we want my number to be at? And then we would triple it and then slash the price and then give it at that discount, little things like that. And I'm sure there's like a strategy to it, like a more like step-by-step like procedure on how to like really build in the margins to make sure you're doing it right. But we were just kind of winging it at that point. And we were okay with that. It still came together. Everything worked out great. But it's just like that. Those little things can really set you apart and could make the difference. I don't know if we necessarily saw an ROI on that. It was definitely more of an expense, but the long-term effect was there. And I'm sure that's a lot of like what Red Bull does, or these companies that write fat checks to like the UFC or different organizations just get their logo on a shirt or something. And they're not getting the money now, but they just know over time that building that brand and trying to capture those diehards to say like, oh, well, they're a sponsor of this football club, of this, this basketball team or whatever, I'm going to go get that. And that's probably what you're looking for, is that you're trying to grab those loyal customers to come on and jump over to your brand because of that.
Yeah. So would you do that again? What do you think?
No. No, no, definitely not.
Cool.
I could find.
Would you do anything similar, or would you just try and operate it a little bit leaner, or how come?
If I did it again, I would probably make it more exclusive, and I would offer it to people who are already part of my community. So let's say if I have like a mastermind community and it's $500 to be a part of it, I would try to probably get like 100 people to be a part of that mastermind. And then I would use those funds and reallocate some of them to go towards getting that ready and up and going. And then I would sell the event at that point to my mastermind group. Right. So, and then it's like, hey, for, $1,200 one time, I'm going to put together this multi-day event. And so you got the revenue coming from your already customer base that's already in the community. And then now you can sell that experience in a different way to interact with people at a different scale. I'd probably do something like that. And that would kind of offset costs. So that way I'm not hemorrhaging money just to have a spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably how I'd do it going forward.
This reminds me of a quote that I heard recently by Jeffy Bezos, dude. Ooh, and what do you know about Amazon's customer philosophy?
Ooh, I heard something like this before, and I'll mess it up, so I'll let you say it, and I'll let you know if it's what I was thinking.
Okay.
How about
basically,
that?
Sure. Yep, that was exactly what I thought, for sure.
That's exactly it.
Basically, Amazon's philosophy is customer first no matter what.
Yeah.
And everything that can be convenient and easy and in the interest of the customer needs to be done, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why Amazon, dude, they accept returns. It's convenient. 1 day shipping, 2 day shipping, 1 day shipping, free shipping. Everything that Amazon does is just so easy for me. And for them, I would bet it's really, really hard to do that. And the example of this is back in early 2000s, 2010-ish, maybe 2013, Amazon was trying to decide if they wanted to allow third-party retailers on their website. Could Walmart come in and start selling their products on Amazon? Could Target, all these places.
Right.
And ultimately, they decided that that made sense. Why not allow everybody to have their own Amazon store and we just our fulfillment or distribution? Because it makes the experience better. And everybody, dude, all the news outlets and analysts said, this is a terrible business decision. Amazon is going to blow it. You're basically opening up your store and you're just going to allow your competitors to take over. That's not what happened. Amazon is far, far more just convenient than Walmart store. Dude, if I ever have to order anything on Walmart store, I'm annoyed by it. But here's their philosophy. It's customer convenience first. And actually, dude, I totally forgot where I was going with that. There was a whole, Jeffy Bezos quote. And here's his quote. Your margin is my opportunity. And so what he's saying is your business, that profit margin you make, that's money that you're just keeping in your pocket, taking home and spending on jet skis. He's like, that margin, that's my opportunity because here's what I do. I take that and I put it back in and I'm all in every single time. And so every dollar we make, every dollar you make, I'm reinvesting because I'm making my product better. I'm making the customer experience better. I'm doing something. And maybe in the short term, that profit, you don't see an impact of it. Only shareholders see it. But over years and decades, what Target or Walmart or who knows who might be taken out and kicking over somewhere else, Amazon, dude, they're chips back in. And so doing what you did, that brand recognition, all of that stuff, that is what creates a powerhouse of a company. And this is kind of what irritates me with, I think, a lot of entrepreneurs is that they think they can just roll out this shitty product, sell it, take that money and run. Maybe, but if you want to have a good business and sell, you got to reinvest, and that takes time and that takes money, and you can't be pulling your profits out every month.
No, dude. What's the thing about Jeff and how he's done that? It's essentially like a self-liquidating offer. Like in a sense, like it's going to pay for itself.
Explain what that is. Okay, I don't think everybody knows what a self-liquidating offer is. Nice term, by the way.
Thank you. Yes. And so it's essentially your the income you receive from the services that are rendered. You turn around and you put that back into it, like put that back into the machine. And so it's self-funding. It's almost like you're playing with the house's money. And so what I'm thinking that they probably did, and I don't know, I may be way off on this, but it seems logical right now, is that they had so much venture capital money or just money to run the business off of that from investors and outside capital, where that could sustain their day-to-day operations so that they can keep their workers there, keep the distribution facilities running, keep the trucks on the road, all that stuff. And so the margin you were talking about that Walmart, these other big competitors are using to live off of, their profits, they're basically taking that and they're dumping it right back into more of just their product that they offer, like, Amazon. And so they could just outpace them because they have all this funding on the back end to keep the ship going, that they're just playing with house money at that point. And the house money is the profit margins from these other competitors. And dude, that's how you suffocate other businesses. Like it's such a cool thought process from a business standpoint. it's a little messed up because you are essentially like trying to kill out your competition. But let's not forget, business is war.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
business is war. And you have to take that standpoint because every day somebody's trying to work harder than you to put you out of business. And you should have that level of paranoia. And so if you're that bold to just keep shoving the chips back in, keep throwing them in, not taking any profit for the business, and just feed the beast, bro, the gap will widen as long as you're playing the long game. Because like you had mentioned earlier, you said, are we is this a short-term income we're looking for, or are we here for the customer and truly trying to do what's in their best interest? And, I was a little stoned the other day, and I was, and I was getting some food, and we were driving to, I think I went to like Taco Bell or something. And dude, nobody was on the road. And I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, nobody has to go anywhere anymore. I'm like, Friday night, I would think people were going out to restaurants to go get a nice meal. And I'm like, no, nobody's really driving anymore because the only time you have to drive anywhere is just to get to and from work. Otherwise, you could get your food delivered to you. Like if you have Amazon Prime, you got a Whole Foods nearby. You can get that stuff prepped for you, ready to go. They can even deliver it to you. You could just pick out whatever you want on Amazon. They'll drive it to you. Uber Eats, it's all there. You literally don't have to leave your house unless you're going to work. And I was thinking, I'm like, dang, I see these early videos of Jeff Bezos. And I'm like, man, this guy had a vision to say, if these people want something, I don't want them to have to leave their house. I'm going to bring it to them. So here's Jeff. He's basically Santa Claus. He's like, I'm showing up to your doorstep. That was my thought.
That's fantastic. That's great.
And it started with books, but now it's anything. And I literally don't have to leave my house to get what I need. And I thought that was so cool because was that truly his vision? And when he talks about putting the customer first, that's really what he was thinking about. So even in those early freaking stages, when you see him in his like little bitty, office space with like papers everywhere, it's real jam-packed, really crappy desk. Like he, in his heart, he knew he was building something that is going to put them first. And like, dude, Devin, don't worry about leaving your house, man. I got you. Just give me like 15 years. Like, just give me 15 years. I'm going to take care of you. And I thought that's so cool. And then the fact that he's just so freaking smart to try to get out there and put himself out there. But it's funny though, because you turn into a villain after a while, Dude,
yeah. That's interesting. Wait, tell me more. Why do you say that? I agree, but I'm curious why you say that.
Business at scale, you employ the less able people. I'll call it that way. Because you need people to do the day-to-day operations. So you get low-skilled labor workers to come work for you. And that does start to get into the ethics of things, of like, how are you treating your employees? How do you keep up with the demand of what Amazon is, the beast of that? And so I think that's what kind of starts to turn you into the bad guys when you get to scale like that. But I mean, like those guys, dude, like I was saying, business is war. Like they're the war generals. They don't care. They're on a freaking rampage mission.
Right. You're not thinking about the other country's population, dude. You have one job, and your job is to win. And if you can't do your job, they're going to find someone that can.
Yeah.
And dude, I've got a beautiful story about business warfare.
Oh, let's hear it.
You ready?
Love me a good war story.
Since 1990s and 2000s, Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, where I live, there were two major airlines that were stationed here or out of here. Hawaiian Airlines, who I'm sure you've flown on.
Yep.
Yeah. They got the purple. Yes. It's clean. They give you the little cookies with the coconut and the macadamia nuts when you get on.
Bro, you're on vacation right when you step into that airplane.
Bro, dude, that's what it is. That's Hawaiian Airlines. Well, did you know that up until 2008, there was a whole nother one called Aloha Airlines?
Oh, haven't heard of that.
So happened? Aloha Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines, bro, neck and neck competitors. I mean, this is like having two football teams out of the same stadium. These guys went to war with each other. But check this out. Hawaiian Airlines had deep pockets. They were funded by some big people. And so I think in early 2000s, Hawaiian Airlines, what was a $100 inter-island flight from Oahu to Maui, they lowered it to $39. Guess what? They're losing money. But Aloha Airlines, they had no choice. They had to lower their fares. Okay?
Oh my God.
What did Hawaiian Airlines do next? They lowered their flights to $9. Bro, you could get on an airplane for $9.
Whoa.
And they're just bleeding cash. Not cheap to do. Aloha Airlines, let's say you go on and you see a ticket price that's $9 or $90, which one takes you to the same place. You're going to get on the $9
all
flight.
day.
You're going to get it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about making the $9. It wasn't. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't about making the $9. It's about making it so Aloha Airline doesn't make their $90. And then Hawaiian Airlines reduced their price down to $1. Bro, you can get on this airplane all day. $1 flights. Cheap. This went on
free.
It's pretty much free. This went on for a couple years, but guess what? Everybody's flying on Hawaiian at this point. There's not Aloha Air, nobody's flying there. They can reduce their price, but they're still losing money. And so this is a war of attrition because Aloha Airlines, they didn't have deep pockets, but Hawaiian Airlines did. And so Hawaiian Airlines lowered their prices so their competitors wouldn't make any money. And after a couple of years, Aloha Airlines went out of business. 2008, they filed bankruptcy. After that, Hawaiian Airlines stuck their prices back up, and they're the dominating force ever since.
Oh my gosh, dude!
You wait them out, dude. This is the equivalent of you siege a castle, you surround it so they can't get any food, and you just wait. You don't need to go to war. You don't need to kill your competitor. You just need to drain their resources, and that's what Hawaiian Airlines did.
Wow. Yeah, dude, that's intense. I mean, think about being the CEO or the person in charge over there at Aloha Airlines. Like, oh, dude, that's tough. Wow. You can't keep up. It's like, we're literally like, I don't know, man. How do you make it stop? Like, I'm sure they were doing everything they could. Think about the labor involved, like the flight attendants, the ground crew, like these guys that are servicing the airplanes. If there's no routes going in and out, and you're just basically, because a lot of times the airlines still have to service routes, and so they're flying empty airplanes. And the flight attendants, you know what I mean? Like, what do they just get told you don't show up for your shift? I'm sure they're looking for a different airline to work for, you know? Right. So then you have a labor shortage, and it's just a ripple effect that could just devastate you very quickly.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Business is war, dude.
It's a war game, man. And in fact, I want to share one more story about something that I was thinking about recently.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that none of my competitors listen to my podcast because I'm about to share some inside business information that could be detrimental if my competitors found out. How's that for a hook? How's that for a hook?
Let's go. I love it.
I own a rock climbing gym. 2 years ago, one of our employees, who was supposed to be long-term, under the radar, was opening up his own indoor rock climbing gym without us knowing. And not that it's not allowed, but there's a little bit of like, it's like, hey, if we're going to have you here as a manager and give you all these special privileges and pay for your flights and do all these things that you're asking for, there's a certain level of like respect that goes with it. But regardless, we opened July 2021. A year after that, one of our managers had left us after we had just given him a bonus, and a bonus that he was fighting us for. Not fighting, but was like really saying that he deserved. And we're like, all right, so we did. It goes a month later after he leaves, opens up his own rock climbing gym on the other side of the island. And we're just like, oh man, that kind of sucks. And it starts a little bit of this rivalry, and we're a little bit bigger of an operation, and so we very much took the high road. We said, good for you, water under the bridge, we're going to focus on our thing, we're not going to worry about you.
Good for you.
And this person was a little bit of a pain in our side. Every so often he kind of like just start problems with us for no reason. We're like, whatever. Always took the high road. Well, that business, I don't know how well it's performing. And they have a couple assets that I'm interested in as a business owner. They have climbing holds, which are the things that go on the wall, and those are very expensive. They probably got about $100,000 of inventory of climbing holds. And then they have some specialty climbing equipment, something called a kilter board, where it's basically this really fancy, nice piece of rock climbing equipment. They range from $40,000 to $80,000. And so they've probably got about $100,000 to $150,000 of assets, of gear that I would also like to own for our facility. It would be a nice addition. And we were looking at recently purchasing one of these big fancy climbing boards for about $75,000, and we might make this purchase this year. And I sat down, I was like, all right, there's two of these one of these on island, too, and it's owned by one of our competitors. We would like to own one of these things as well. And I have a feeling that their business isn't operating all that well. I don't know that for a fact, but I just have an inkling. So I went on and I found out how much rent they're paying. And it was a good chunk. And I kind of did some back of napkin math. I'm like, okay, they're probably generating this much profit or this much income. This is probably how much they're spending on employees. I know what all the numbers are because I have close ties. They're probably spending this amount of money on insurance, blah, blah, blah. And I got to the kind of figures and I thought to myself, there's no way that this company is making a good profit. They might be breaking even. Maybe they're making a little bit. And I know they're backed by some family members that have money, but if their family has money, they're probably pretty smart with their money, and they're not going to back a bad investment forever. Makes sense. But maybe for a year to get it up and running. I mean, it can take money to get a business off the ground. And so what I decided to do was, prior to us going out and spending $100,000 on all these climbing gear and holds, was like, let's just sit on it. Let's just wait. Because if that company goes out of business, they are going to want to sell all the stuff they have left over. It's not going to fit in their garage. They would have no use for it. And if they sell, we are the only person in about 3,000-mile radius that would ever be interested or have the resources to purchase these things. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes these games like Aloha and Hawaiian Airlines, or just waiting out, and we're not doing anything. I mean, not that we can necessarily sabotage them, but paying attention to your markets and knowing what potential opportunities may come up and having the cash available to do it, dude, that's an art. And you can come across some major opportunities if you're willing and you pay attention to where your market or niche is.
Yeah,
so
you totally can.
I'm hoping that in 6 months, I get a bunch of sick climbing gear for a third of the price.
What if you drop a hint? This is what I'm thinking. What if you just hit them up like on DM, say, hey man, if you got any extra stuff, like we're on the market to purchase, just throw a little bit of thing out there. Just say anything you're not using, like we'll take it up.
We're in. Yeah.
Just throw him that and just kind of get a pulse for where he's at. He may say, oh yeah, actually I got some things,
Right.
And you get a sense for where he's at.
Not a bad idea. Yeah.
Sleep
with the enemy is what it's called.
Yeah. What's his rates compared to yours? Like, is everything pretty in line? Did he kind of steal your guys's setup?
They did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't consider it stealing, and I've got no qualms about somebody opening up a competing business. Yeah. I mean, business is war. I don't expect them to play nice. Yeah. What kind of bummed us out was he was with us for a little bit. He made it seem like it was a long-term thing. He asked us for a lot of extras. Hey, I'm going to be here for a while. We want these supplies. I want this bonus. Like, I put so much in for the company. And then it was kind of like, it's like, all right, dude, you work for us, we'll work for you type of thing. And then just turn around and it's like, all right, actually, never mind. It's like, oh, dude, come on. So that's kind of what did me over. Mm-hmm. But if he was up front and said, look, I want to work with you guys, but I also do want to build my own in the future. Setting expectations like that, going in, like I couldn't be like, hey, look, he told me what his plan was. I can't be mad at him about it. He was clear.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I mean, did he want to partner at any point in time, or was that even a discussion?
It was never brought up to me, but maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, when
I
you
mean,
see
it's too
that
bad.
happening, man.
Had he asked early on before we started ours, I probably would have been open to it, but yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you think about different opportunities, and then like, what does competition do to your client base, and how can that separate you to maybe where somebody opens up something and it's less superior. It's just like, it's not the same feel, it's not the same culture, they don't have the same vibe. Then that could prop yours up, make yours look a little more shinier, where it's like, I'd like to go to that one.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite, it's like they could eventually pull from you in a way. And so like pull clients over if they do have a superior product. So
Right.
like you guys do have market share. So if you put yourself in their shoes, you already got years ahead of them, and you already have client base, and people that are loyal, I'm sure, to the operation. So from their
our
perspective,
product is very different too. They're a very small, specialized boutique gym, a couple thousand square feet. We're a massive operation, almost 20,000 square feet. So it's a little different. Yeah, it's kind of just it's more of a thorn in our side than it is an actual threat. But if they mismanage and they have to sell their assets, like we're going to be the only buyer. And it's like that's nice. That puts us in a very good position.
What if you did something where you call it the island pass and you talk to him and you guys maybe talk about like they could pay a little bit extra for a dual membership?
Yeah,
but that's if he wants to work
would benefit
with
them. Right. That we don't want that.
That'd be a gimmick.
Yeah,
but
well,
that wouldn't work in your favor.
It's like what we want is we want to own the market and give the best product possible.
Yeah.
And that's our mission. Everything is how do we make our gym better than any other gym in the world? And we don't focus so much on how do we be better than our competitors. It's every day, how do we make a better product? How do we make the fitness, the climbing, the holds, the ropes, the team, the training better? And that's partly why we've been able to achieve success is we focus on just improving it every single second.
Yeah, dude, that's good. Well, we'll see what happens in 6 months to a year from now.
I know. I'm so ready for just a free bunch of shit. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's great, dude.
Wait, can I leave us with one or two more gimmicks? Not even gimmicks, just things that were sick, things that were cool.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, bro, $5 footlong.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, you can't tell me that's not a brilliant piece of marketing.
So good. I used to go to Subway just for the $5 footlong. I remember that commercial.
Dude, the $5, dude, just brilliant marketing all around. They nailed it. That was, I would say that was probably one of the most profitable fast food marketing advertisements of all time, if I had to guess.
Right.
We still talk about it. And dude, they haven't been $5 in a decade.
Yeah. Well, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. They went all in. They went all in on a figurehead named Jared.
Ooh, yeah.
Bro, it was working so good until that dude got exposed.
I know
that can tank your reputation.
So
I think you keep your gimmicks not to like a person, like a guy that could go rogue. The fame gets to his head and he just thinks he's invincible, and then he does a bunch of weird shit.
Right. The ShamWow guy bit a stripper's lip off. Yeah, or ear off or something crazy. Be careful with your figureheads, I guess, huh?
Very true. Yeah. You got to know. But you got to be more like Papa John's. You got to I want to see the Papa, know?
Yeah.
Well,
he had a scandal too.
He did, actually. That's true. As I was saying, I'm thinking about it. He's still, I think, I don't know too much about his scandal. I think he's still, at least I don't think anything negatively towards him whenever I say his name, but like Jared, for sure. Right.
ShamWow guy was lots of figureheads. Next gimmick, dude, the McDonald's Happy Meal for children. Oh, dude, tell me that the Happy Meal It's like, what kind of parent doesn't want their kids happy?
Dude,
It's what you want. You want more than anything in the world.
You get the toy.
Dude, they killed it with that. Brilliant.
Man, dude, do you remember the movie they came out with? They
No,
had a McDonald's movie. I used to watch that.
Really?
And like the Hamburglar, I don't really remember the whole plot. Yeah. But dude, I was at McDonald's the other day and they came out with this hamburger. It's the double patty Big Mac.
Okay.
Something like that. Like super supreme. They just came out with it. It's double the meat, double everything. And there was a hand behind, like, it's just a weird picture. I didn't know they were still promoting the Hamburglar or like the characters. And there's like, it's just a photo on the screen and there's like a red hand and you can see like his stripes on his shirt and he's reaching for it. And that's all you see. You just see like the hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that the Hamburglar? Like what? Like just cryptically in the image behind like this thing. And I'm like, wow, they're still keeping little like, little tells,
little hints
like
for us. Yeah.
Little hints of those things of like, it might bring him back or if he's still relevant. I don't know. Like, yeah, McDonald's, dude, they're heavy with that stuff. And I think they just know the psychology of like, dude, fast food, hungry kids, that when people get hungry, they get hangry. Get them a Happy Meal.
Snickers, there you go. The Snickers hangry one too. You're not even
Snickers,
hungry.
Yeah. You're not yourself when you're hungry.
Oh, dude, great.
Grab a
Brilliant.
Snickers.
What do you know about Hemis? Hemi. A Hemi.
Hemi, like the truck? Like the engine?
The engine, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have a Hemi.
Dude, my grandfather purchased a Dodge something, and he goes, it's got a Hemi when he got it, right? This guy's probably like 65 in Midwest Michigan. There used to be a logger, just the thing. I go, what's a Hemi? He goes, well, it's a type of engine. And I'm like, well, what's it mean? He's like, oh, it's just a better engine. I don't know.
It's a Hemi built to last.
Dude, nobody even knows what it is. I Googled it. Can I tell you? Do you know what a Hemi is? Because I know now. I'll tell you.
I mean, I've heard it. I kind of know because I used to be like in auto mechanics. I used to be all into that stuff. Okay. But I forgot. It's been forever.
Okay. So a Hemi engine, that word Hemi comes from hemispherical. The pistons in a car that the shape of them, instead of being flat, is a little bit more rounded. So apparently you get just a tiny little bit more power.
A little more combustion.
And dude, the only difference is the shape of a hole. And I can tell you, it probably doesn't cost a whole lot more to make that shape. And you get a little bit more power, so there is a benefit. But dude, they were pushing that so hard, and we're still talking about it. What brilliant gimmicks. Marketing.
Yeah. I had a friend in high school, last name Hemi. Guess what? He drove a Dodge, dude.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Dodge Hemi. Had to have it.
Yeah.
Had to have it.
And I got the last one here by one of my favorite kind of like founders of all time. Okay. Cyclone Technology. What does that mean to you?
Dude, no clue. I was on a baseball team, youth league, and we were the Cyclones. That's all I know about it.
A little different. Dyson, the vacuum.
Okay, yeah.
Dyson Cyclones. And so, granted, I looked it up. It is a different type of technology than your normal, ordinary vacuum. So there is that. It kind of spins it in a circle and shoots it around. This type of concept has existed for a long time, though. It's not new. It's just newer to the vacuum industry. So what he did was he took this thing from a sawmill where it would shoot things around and separate by size, and then he did it in a vacuum. And so he took this cool idea and applied it to a different product. And dude, Dyson's, you asked me about two types of vacuums. I would say Dyson, and then I would say Hoover, and that's all I would know. But Dyson dominates.
Yeah. Dude, and they're so expensive and everybody knows it.
I know. And they're not the best.
So much
I got deep in vacuums before. They're not the best.
Really?
No, not even close.
Okay. So
they're just the coolest looking.
Yeah. I think they're a little more functional probably because they make them sleek and lightweight and like maneuverable. Like I think like maybe in the cordless vacuum game. Maybe that's where they really separate themselves, but I'm sure you're about to tell me about maybe a better vacuum that's cordless. What are the ones? Okay, I noticed this with like cleaners, like commercial cleaning companies when they're in like hotels or wherever. They have the bag vacuums, like the old school ones, the big bag, like the cloth on the outside, and you have like the paper bag that's inside of it. The old school ones, dude, they like live and die by those. Those are probably far superior when it comes down to actually getting something clean.
Yeah, they're far superior. Bag vacuums just in every way. And what we're talking about is the vacuum wars. Yes. Dude, it's a whole thing, dude. It's like, I don't even, we don't have time to get into there, but it is by far one of the best. It's amazing, bro. Vacuum cleaner wars, we'll talk about it another time.
Okay. Yeah, we could dive into different types of like rivalry of businesses. Those are interesting to see how they compete and jockey against each other to separate themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And the best vacuum cleaner brand, it's known as Melee. They also make kitchen appliances, Miele.
Okay.
Melee. Yeah.
I gotta look at that. I gotta look into that. Yeah, dude. That like gimmicks, separating yourself into business. All of these things are super crucial to getting started, but they're usually gambles.
It is a gamble,
dude. Hawaiian Airlines was gambling hard at $9 a ticket.
They did. Because you're right. What would have happened if Aloha Airlines found a big backer and said, "Look, this is the spot we're in. We're going to give you some type of equity or payback, and we might have to last this for 8 years." And you can only do it for so long. It's because both companies would be bleeding.
Yeah, you're hemorrhaging cash for sure. It's a last-ditch effort, dude. You're hitting the nuclear button. You're like,
it is, yeah. But it worked, man. They dominate. They're the only ones. So, well,
that's so cool, dude. This is a fun topic today.
Good topic, dude. Nicely done. That's the pod.
That's the pod. Love it.